Hey, what's up? My name is Dale.
And I'm Walt.
And this is Live Streaming Tech. We're going to show you a lot about live streaming, and today, more specifically, we're going to be talking about some of the best mics for streaming in 2020. So you're going to want to make sure you stay tuned to today's full video. And I just want to say, again, we are multi-streaming out with the glorious service known as Restream.io. And how we're doing it is we're going to YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, our Facebook business page, our Facebook group, and of course our new platform on Amazon Live. And again, if you're not on Amazon Live, it's easy for me to say, visit our link inside the description. If you don't see that right down there, what you can do is go over to livestreamingtech.com/Amazon Live. So let us know where you are watching from. Let us know inside the chat. Dude, Walt.
Oh, that's right. So full disclosure, any of the links that you see in our description or any of the links that you'll see below on Amazon Line, those are affiliate links. And if you click those, we do get a certain percentage of it, but there's no markup to you. You get the product at the price that's listed on Amazon. You just help support Live Streaming Tech and the channel. And you don't worry, we're not going to go out eating tacos with that money. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink, yes. And it's part of the Amazon Associates program, and I'll tell you,
buy me some tacos.
Buy him a taco. Come on, man, give the guy a taco. Like the Hurley boy, where it's like, would you just give the man a taco? All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to have you answer this for me, and it would be a perfect segue into what we're going to be talking about. Why is audio important to live streaming? Because we talked about cameras, but one of the things we talked about last week in cameras was what trumps video is always audio, and why is that?
Correct. Because you could actually live stream, depending on the content you are serving out to your audience. You can live stream, believe it or not, without a cam. There are game streamers that are quite successful at streaming without a camera. But here's the one thing, even if you do have a camera, the one thing that is unforgiving, and that is making people's ears bleed, or having a hissy mic or a mic that sounds like you're talking into a coffee can. That goes out to my buddy there, Zeron. Anyway, yeah, the cam can always be forgiven.
Yeah.
I mean, you can literally have your cam set up at, the lowest resolution. People are going to forgive you for that. But if you are killing their ears, they're out. Or if they can't hear you, they're out.
This is true.
So that's the thing. Regardless of the type of content you're providing, you should probably try to get the best sounding microphone that is within your budget. So that's the thing we're going to discuss in this live stream.
And so we are going to discuss 6 mics for streaming. And again, this is not an exhaustive list, and more so a list of microphones we've purchased and used and can kind of stand behind. We've left off like this bad stuff. If you're on Amazon Live and you see these products and you click on it, please understand that it does, like, sometimes the pricing varies. So we're going to tell you what it is about. And since we're kind of in this weird state of flux here during this whole lockdown and pandemic thing, we can tell you about how much it is, because third-party sellers are going to come over and increase price, decrease price, however they see fit. So based on your budget and streaming capabilities, let's start it out with the most simplest way of doing live streaming, which is via mobile. All right, so mobile streaming, I'm going to tell you one of my absolute favorite ways. Okay, it's not using the onboard or the iOS microphone. That's good. It's all well and good, but the problem is it pulls a lot of sound around you rather than by you. So one of the ones that I really like is actually the Rode Smart Lav Plus. Yeah, sound the alarms. Hear that? They're going crazy here in Columbus. They like this deal. It is the Rode Smart Lav Plus. You can actually see it's actually a pretty decent size here. It has what's called a TRRS fitting on the very end of it. Okay, so this is the plug itself. Let me just kind of bring it in just a little bit. Unfortunately, it's not going to zoom in. Maybe I bring it close enough to my face. You'll see there's 3 black threads on this one. There's a significance to it. There's TRRS and then there's TRS. TRS is usually 2 black threads. And you're probably saying, well, what difference does this make? Because this is the type that actually can be used on mobile devices, more importantly on iOS devices and some Androids. If you have a more recent version of an iPhone, you're gonna definitely need to get a dongle. And of course, let me go ahead and open up my drawer. I'm sure it probably sounds loud on my microphone. And this is a dongle, all right? And you have to actually put that in there and plug it on in. And it works really nice. It has a great sound to it. In fact, I've seen so many times where people just will hold it like this. So I think like Gus Johnson does that over when he's doing his YouTube videos. Sometimes he'll tape it to like a drumstick or his coffee mug or things like that. But these are great, and they run about $79. I noticed the price didn't change too much, and you get a nice little carrying case here. It does not come along with the dongle. I did not put that inside the thing down below. Now, this is one that, Walt, you've never heard of. Maybe you've heard of it, but I bought it for a good friend of mine, and I know how very reliable it is. One of my coaching students, as well as a friend of the channel, Keith Wheeler Books actually uses it. It's called a Boya lavalier, and the Boya actually can go into just about any mobile device as well as any desktop device. It has, and it looks pretty much almost the same as, say, what this is, okay? But the cord is way thicker and it's really long. I mean, that was ridiculously long.
And remember, go back to like our older video when we did the review on the Rode Smart Lav. That was my biggest complaint. Was the cordage
just
on
too
that
short.
Microphone. It was too short and it was very flimsy. It felt to me that if I leaned or forgot that it was actually still hooked to me, it got away.
There was near misses when he and I were recording a couple times on mobile.
Yeah, a lot of times you would be, whoa.
What we would recommend is if you do get SmartLav Plus, get yourself an extension cord. I always get something braided because it's going to last. It's going to stand the test of time. And this one I think is, and I have this down on Amazon Live here, folks. So it's a Zeskit extension cord, and I can't remember the length, but it's pretty long. I've done that right down below the video here. It works out very nicely. Again, it's TRRS, so that means it will be compatible. If you get a TRS and you plug in your Rode microphone into that, it will not work. It will not support that properly. So for Boya though, you can plug it directly in. It has so much cord, I don't even think you're gonna need an extension at all. And here's the price. Walt, you're gonna love this price. $26. $26. And the funny thing is, it actually is higher than normal. I had bought it for $12 for my buddy. $12 stinking dollars.
So you're telling me the earbuds that I'm using now are more expensive than the microphone?
Right. More expensive. So if you're going to be doing mobile streaming, we highly recommend you look into that. And Boya might actually even be sufficient. And don't quote me on this. If you happen to be streaming from a laptop, you can probably utilize that, and possibly PC. It is a very good, versatile microphone at a very low price. So I wanted to put that into the mobile streaming side of things so you knew that there was a cost-effective option, because I know not everybody's got $80 to blow on a Rode SmartLav Plus, much less the money to go get a dongle and get an extension cord and things like that. But as far as measuring up Boya to SmartLav Plus, honestly, unless you have a trained ear, you're not going to notice too much difference. Honestly, you're not going to notice too much difference, which makes me kind of kick myself. But then again, I'm a Rode microphone fanboy, have been for years. Yeah. So let's transition over from mobile, dude. You've got this next one.
All right, PC streaming. I can actually speak from experience on this one. I've used the built-in mics on my cams. I've used some really cheap microphones. I've used the microphones on my gaming headsets, anything from Turtle Beach on. But the one that I've kind of felt most comfortable with, and it gets a lot of heat, and that is the Yeti Blackout Edition microphone made by Blue. I picked it up when it was on sale. I don't know if I should say how much. I got it for $89.99.
It was dirt cheap then, man.
Yeah. Now, mind you, there are two different versions of this Blackout. There's the XLR and there's the USB. I had the USB because that required me to come over your house and steal the mixer that actually finally died on you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's so funny. Actually, bring that up. I still have this stinking thing here.
Yeah, it's a good paperweight. It's a good paperweight. We'll get to that though. So, at any rate, the thing was I was actually quite surprised on how well it sounded for being a USB microphone. And that's the thing. A lot of people kind of trash on it, but then again, I don't think they have the patience to position it properly, to
Yeah.
dial it in. And actually, that's the other thing too. If you're using OBS or Streamlabs OBS,
Yeah.
use filters, people. Use
Filters for sure.
Now, unfortunately, right now, it's actually sitting. I'm actually using the stand that it came with.
Yeah.
It's a quite heavy stand. I don't like it sitting on my desk like it is because it's very distracting. But due to my limited space and setting up, usually what I do is I have a boom that hangs above my head. So literally
Smart.
the microphone is out of the camera. Well, I mean, it's out of the camera now, but it literally hangs. So if you guys have ever gone to like a TV taping and you see them, the guys carrying around the booms with the microphone hanging down, that's literally how I have it set up. And I get a really good sound for a USB microphone that's under $100. Now, Dale,
Nice.
right now, I do know that you kind of hit me up the other day and said that they were sold out on Amazon.
Yeah, you're only going to find it from third-party sellers, and since they know that they're the only ones that have the what's called the sale box over on Amazon, they're going to obviously jack it up. So the range that I saw was right between $100 to $200. So 100 being
100
used
100
and renewed. The renewed products, by the way, folks, if you do order from Amazon, you get a renewed product. Understand that does still come with a warranty, and you have the 30-day money-back guarantee. It might have like a 1-year warranty of some sort. So if you do buy something renewed, don't sweat it. It's still going to be a very good product. In some instances, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Walt, that someone might actually unbox, let's say, the Yeti mic, and then they send it back without using it.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, since it's already come out of the box,
They have to.
Amazon has to sell it as renewed, or they throw it away. And you wouldn't believe there's millions of dollars in inventory that's thrown away and pretty much just incinerated in Amazon warehouses because they don't resell quite a bit of their stuff. I had worked in the warehouse in Arizona, and I can't tell you, there was an entire area of returns, and I was just frothing at the mouth because I was like, oh my gosh, look at all this inventory. I wish I could just take a couple of these things home, which is a complete no-no over in Amazon.
and that brings up a good point. So that's the thing, because of the fact that I have no issues with the USB version. If I were to upgrade and go to an XLR, I probably would get a refurbished one, because that's what I was exactly thinking is a lot of people are probably going to buy the XLR version of the Blackout Edition from Yeti. And they probably open it up and go, oh, where do I plug this into my computer? Because there's a lot of mom and dads that buy that for their kids and don't realize you have to have an audio interface to plug it into because it's phantom power. Yeah. So the thing is there's going to be a lot of the XLR returns that are refurbished, that really never needed to be refurbished. There was nothing wrong with them. It's the fact that it's an open box. So I would feel real comfortable picking up an XLR version of the Yeti Blackout Edition.
Yeah, it's and I'll tell you what.
Thanks, Bonnie.
When it comes to USB and XLR, folks, I just want to let you know that I'm in the self-publishing space, typically outside of live streaming tech, and within that self-publishing space, there are some narrators out there that will use specific type of microphones. Most instances, it's XLR, but I do know a couple of narrators that actually use the USB microphones. Some of the more traditional narrators and voiceover talent will probably, that's not very good. But the funny thing is, unless you have that super discerning ear, you're not going to be able to pick out too much of a difference between the USB mic and XLR. XLR just has a bit more, it's a bit more dynamic. It has a bit more range, and it's not being compressed. Depth is the word I'm looking for. Yep. And Walt brought up a very, very good point here, and it's audio interfaces. Now, of course, I pulled up my dead Tascam. I'm one of these days I'm thinking about just opening it up and maybe see if I can dust it off, because it was real staticky was what its issue was. This is now a discontinued product. But audio interfaces is where you're going to have to invest a little bit more. We're going to talk more about the mics that need an audio interface of some sort because they need the XLR point. And so just as a heads up, these next few microphones we're going to tell you about, you're going to need to purchase an audio interface. Today, we're not going to talk so much about audio interfaces. We might briefly talk about the accessories, but not necessarily audio interfaces. Maybe we'll do that on a future broadcast. I think, Walt, you'd probably be up for it, right? So,
yeah.
All right, so why do we need to actually have one of these things? Well, it's something that's called phantom power. So right now I'm talking on my microphone. It doesn't require phantom power, but it does have a mic activator that requires phantom power. All that to say this is that some microphones require power coming from a source in order to actually work. So you can't just plug it into the wall and have it work. You know, it actually has to have an audio interface of some sort. In most instances, the microphones will be about 48 volts. And so, for instance, let's go ahead and start it out with one of my favorite lavaliers. This is dirt cheap. It's the Movo LV402. And Walt and I actually did an unboxing and review of these microphones. And I'd had the ones for about 3 years, I think it was, before they started getting staticky and kind of just not working.
Yeah, and I equate that to the wiring.
Yeah, and it has kind of a flimsy wiring, but the nice thing is I've actually had these already for about 6 months. I haven't used them too much, and I put a warranty on it, and I think the warranty was like maybe an additional $5 for 3 years or something like that on Amazon. So in any event, you can get a pair of these for $75. So you're looking at what? Help me do the maths here, Walt. $38.50 is that what it works out to be?
Something like that.
$38.50 per mic, and it's not too bad. And most audio interfaces, most of them, that you're going to find are typically equipped with 2 jacks, 2 XLR points. Is that going to be a deal breaker if you get an audio interface and you got 2 Movos? No. I would just say hang on to the one as backup, and you just never know you're going to be able to eventually use it. So that's kind of the nice thing. I really do like the Movo. It has a long enough cord, and it actually has got a very good, rich sound. If anything, it has a lot of gain. So don't think this little thing can't be able to produce some great quality content. We already kind of talked about one of my favorite things, and I know it's like everybody's like, isn't Walt going to talk? Well, these are the microphones I deal with here. So
yeah, he's gone through a lot more microphones than I have, and I didn't want to call out some of the super trash microphones that I've used.
Right, yeah. So on the opposite end of the spectrum of trash is Rode. Rode is an amazing product, an amazing company. Their customer service is unparalleled. Rode NT1, it's actually a cardioid microphone. I actually had an anniversary edition and gifted it to our uncle. But big shout out to Uncle Mike. What's up, Uncle Mike? Rode NT1A is the name of it, and it was really, really good. And I'll get to why I don't have it anymore. It works perfectly fine. I just gifted it out to my uncle. That right now, believe it or not, NT1A is no longer in stock. It was an anniversary edition. So if you want to get it, you've got to get a Rode NT1. And those, generally speaking, run about $200 to $300. Heck, I saw one of the more premium versions of the NT series at $500. I would recommend, if you're looking at Rode NT1, that if you're going to be doing it, if you're a gamer, for instance, it may not make sense for you to get that. No. But if you're someone like me, for instance, that you're using it for podcasting, or you're recording audiobooks or doing things like that and live streaming, then yeah, it might make sense. However, the one thing I've noticed when it came to the NT1 is the fact that you could hear a mouse fart from a mile away.
Yes,
it was so sensitive. It was really, really sensitive. Obnoxiously so. A lot of times I couldn't put it in front of me. I actually had to put it off to the side because it got a lot of my plosives. And plosives being like, and it starts to peak out the microphone. It can be somewhat obnoxious if someone's trying to listen to you on their headphones. But NT1's fantastic. Again, if you're someone who's like, say, in the same space as me, you're doing podcasting, you're doing narrating, voiceover type work, and you're a musician, musicians especially, vocalists, the NT1A is perfect. This is what's going to segue perfectly over to pretty much the gold standard of podcasting and live streaming, and that is the Shure SM7B. And you and I actually just launched a video, yesterday it was?
Yep.
About the unboxing of that. Now, the Shure SM7B, for those of you, let me pull it on over into the video here. That's this little fancy microphone. A lot of people will famously call it the Joe Rogan microphone, because you see Joe Rogan using it a lot in his podcast. I mean, he's the most famous podcaster right now.
There's a lot of podcasters that use that. It seems to be the gold standard right now. And, back in the day, just to kind of remind you, we actually used to use Shure microphones when we would go on the road with our band and stuff, because I did destroy 2 of them. Yeah,
those were SM57s.
Oh, okay. You remember? I remember that. Wow. Wow. Good.
A little bit of a mic nerd. I wonder if Podcast is watching this here. So, Bandrew, come at me, dude. Huh? So at any rate, Shure SM7B, one of the nice things is there's no power needed. So as long as you have an audio interface with or without the phantom power, you're good to go. The issue, though, when it comes to the Shure SM7B is it does need a little bit of oomph behind it. And it's what we used to call in the music industry. You remember what we called them? Walt stumped. They were called direct boxes. We used to have direct boxes, and what direct boxes do is it actually kind of boosts that signal, which this is a perfect time for us to segue into the very next segment here, Walt. So take it away.
All right. So here's the thing. So we talked about the microphones. Now you need, for instance, what Dale's been talking about, you're going to need that audio interface, which you're going to need. So you have phantom power versus passive power. So the thing is you need something that's going to power it. So sometimes you can get away. Sometimes, notice I say sometimes, you can get away without it, and it will pick up that faint sound. But the thing is that's not how those microphones are supposed to be used. You need to have them powered through some sort of interface.
Movo's a great example. This one right here, you wouldn't be able to pick anything up. It's dead as a doornail without that phantom power.
Correct. So, like I said, and some of them, because I know I'm just saying that, Dale, because I know somebody's going to hit us in comments later on. But well, I have this one, and it actually says it's phantom power, but I can plug it in without it, and it picks it up just fine or whatever. Okay, so let's just say this though: you have to have power to it. Versus the passive power. Correct me if I'm wrong, is basically you can just go
plug and play. Yep.
Yeah.
Essentially what you do with your Yeti, that's passive power. It's just
now that's saying that you have the USB one, not the XLR. The XLR one is not going to be plug and play.
Right.
So the thing is you are going to need to invest more money. So that's the thing too. It's like you have a lot of the audio snobs out there or whatever that go, nah, you're using the Yeti USB thing. Well, here's the thing. The joke's on them. I paid $89 for this. No boxes needed. And literally I just play around with a bit of filters on OBS or Streamlabs OBS before I go live, and I'm ready to rip and roll. Now the problem with that is you still kind of have to mess with, if you, especially Dale, you do a lot of interviews, you got to kind of play around with that audio when you have a guest that doesn't have a decent microphone. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm a game streamer, and I'm telling you what, I stream playing games with other streamers. And that's why I shout out my boy Zeron, because he has a coffee can for a microphone, and literally that's what it sounds like he's hollering into. And I just want to kill it. I just want to boot him out of my stream and be like, dude, you're killing my viewers with that horrible.
You're scaring small children with that.
Yeah, not to mention it was making my ears bleed. So
you know, and I see, and here's the thing too, is while we're kind of talking about, you know, something that will turn people off, maybe I'm coming in too soon, is you got the headset mics. Right here, the one, some of them are just absolutely horrible. They're just
hiss. You get the hiss.
They get the hiss, and it's just like this really bad tinny sound. I've had a couple guests that come on. I've seen some YouTube people struggle, and they're like, I don't understand why I'm not getting any new subscribers. Don't use a headset microphone. Headset microphone's great for gaming, but when it comes to gaming and streaming, you may have to consider getting something a bit more premium, especially if you're using any kind of headset microphone.
Correct. So here's the other thing too. We need to talk about cords. So I brought it up a little bit earlier. I guess I was a little premature on this one, but I like to compare the XLR cordage to the Movo XLR. So not all, just, I know a lot of people are going to drop in the comments, well, XLR has better cordage. Not necessarily the case, because that was my main hang up on those Movos. I did not like the fact that, especially if I'm even using an extension on it, it's easy to roll over it with a wheelchair, which I'm always sitting in. If I forget that I have it clipped in the inside of my shirt, because Dale always knows I clip them in the inside of my shirt, not the outside.
So there's the comparison. You've got the thick XLR cord, and then you have this XLR cord that goes with the lavalier, which is just absolutely just not going to cut it. But you need a thin cord anyways for a lavalier. But
correct, because you don't want something super thick and yanking down on your shirt, because then all your shirts are going to look like V-necks.
Yes.
You like that? But so that's the thing, is just you're going to have to really kind of pay attention to it. And that's why it's kind of good to go into, say, a Micro Center. I don't know, would be equivalent out there on the West Coast, but we have
Best
Micro
Buys are
Center
pretty
here.
good. Best Buys are pretty good.
Yeah, Best Buys. And it's good to see a sample product that's out on the floor. And even if they don't have one out there, you could always ask one of the employees there, hey, do you have an open box, or is there any way that I can see the cordage on this? Because like I said, you'd be surprised on some of these microphones that are great microphones, but then when you get the cords, you know, and you plug them into it, you're like, yeah, either flimsy or too short. That's the other thing too. You don't want it too long, but at the same time, you don't want it too short as well to limit your microphone placement.
You kind of breezed past one of the topics, and that is we were supposed to segue over to this, but that would be a mic activator, also what we call a direct box. I've got it out of shot, but unfortunately I can't pull it into shot. I use what's called a Cloudlifter CL1 that helps kind of boost the signal from the Shure SM7B to gives it to where it's a more dynamic sound, and it gets it to where it raises the volume without raising the noise floor. In less nerdy terms, it means it boosts the sound without you getting a whole lot of this. You don't get a lot of hissiness, because we could do the SM7B by itself. And the funny thing is, actually, I will be doing a comparison video this coming week with the Cloudlifter and without the Cloudlifter, and people will hear a huge difference. It's incredible what that Cloudlifter does. It does run right about 150. But to me, it helps make this $400 microphone sound like a $2,000 microphone. That's just my opinion, though. And you'll be able to hear that next week. So there's different mic activators. If you don't go with Cloudlifter or CL1, just try to look around for anything if you're going to use a Shure SM7B. Do all microphones need it? No, not necessarily. So for instance, I wouldn't put this Movo into a Cloudlifter. And for the other thing is, too, some mic activators like this one require phantom power. I didn't know if you were aware of that, dude.
No, I did not.
It does require phantom power, and it does not pass that phantom power off to the microphone. So if we were want to put, say, the Rode NT1A into the Cloudlifter, it would not work at all. It would not work because it doesn't pass that phantom power. So you'd actually have to somehow split that source, and I don't know.
So that's the reason why the Shure microphone's working with it, is because the Shure microphone doesn't need that phantom power.
Correct. Yes, you are correct. Right on the money on that one for sure.
Yeah. So that worked out great.
Last but not least, man, what's
stands.
one thing we need?
Mm-hmm. So stands, as you've seen, like my Yeti microphone here came with a stand. I don't like to use it. It's a good stand, don't get me wrong. I prefer not to have it on the desk. One, it's a distraction. Two, it's just something for me to knock over. I don't know if you guys seen me in previous videos. I talk with my hands a lot. So I prefer booms over anything else. I'm not the type of streamer or YouTuber that also has my microphone up in front of my face like this. And then what's even better is I have the popper on there because I'm looking for a Grammy. You know, I'm going to, put out my next album while doing my YouTube video as well. So yeah, that's the thing. I know a lot of YouTubers and a lot of streamers like to do that. And to me, it looks like they're flexing a little bit. Like, hey, it's kind of like Dale, if you put the Shure microphone up in front of you. Because how much did you drop on that microphone?
500 on that, 150. Yeah, and if you were to count Zoom 6,
And that's I still consider the Shure microphone a mid-range microphone. I mean, there's ones that are in the thousands.
Oh yeah, but a lot more expensive than this one.
So to me, I find it unnecessary. I mean, obviously, if you're a new streamer or whatever, and you get a new microphone, you kind of want to flex a little bit. I understand that. But my thing is to say, hey, look what you viewers helped me purchase. Show them the microphone, this and that, and then throw it back out of frame, because you really don't need it right up close to your face to sound that good. Yeah. I'm not going to say what I call that when people have that microphone close to their face.
It's not PG family friendly.
Yeah, you can use your imagination. Let's just say you're licking the ice cream cone.
Hey, don't lick the ice cream cone.
Don't lick the ice cream cone. Exactly.
It's such fantastic quality. And to be honest with you, I see a lot of people that have the Shure SM7B like right up here, and it's really not necessary. Actually, a good friend of mine, Roberto Blake, actually uses Shure SM7B, and believe it or not, he puts it out of arm's reach on his desk. Yeah.
And if you have it dialed in and you take the time to dial in,
just take your time, dial it in. You don't need to have it right in front of you. And the thing is, if you're streaming and such, you got enough to worry about. You don't need to be having a microphone stuffed in your face. Now, for some reason, you like the sound of your voice and it seems more rich being up close. Don't let us dissuade you. This is personal preference that we don't like to actually have it to where it obstructs this. One thing I'd learned in the pro wrestling business was Vince McMahon used to pass on to all his pro wrestlers, this is the most valuable real estate that you have. Never cover it up. Never cover it up. And so if you hear that from a billionaire, you can only imagine what you as a live streamer should be doing. Do not clutter up this valuable real estate with Shure, unless of course they're paying you to do that. In that event, go ahead, put it right in front of your face. Heck, I'd put 5 of those in front of my face if Shure was paying me to do it. Hey, so just a quick reminder, if you folks are following and watching us here, we are actually multi-streaming through the power of Restream.io over to YouTube, Twitch. Let's see here. I got to think of all the places. Periscope, the Facebook group,
biz page,
Facebook business page, and also the main page on Amazon Live. Walt, where can they find us on Amazon Live?
livestreamingtech.com/Amazon Live.
Yes, you can go on over there and you can be able to see all the products that we just mentioned. Hey, let us know where you're watching from. We definitely would love to hear from you. If you got any kind of questions, concerns, comments, please drop them right on into the chat. Oh my gosh, Martus on WoW said Arizona 112 right now.
Yes, that's why I responded.
For you.
That is way too hot for me, but thank you for the super chat, by the way. That was nice, $3. That was
Bonnie Phillips. Yeah, Bonnie's a good friend. I really like her.
Dale doesn't get a taco. That's my taco right there. Thank you, Bonnie.
That's your taco. Little does he know, I've got access to the bank account.
I prefer it that way.
We really enjoyed kind of sharing some of this tech, and I imagine that we're going to be doing more of this, folks. So make sure that if you are watching this on Amazon, that you hit the follow button on there, and also if you're watching this on YouTube, you hit the subscribe button, because we actually are going to be back here next Friday, and we're going to be talking about more technology and such. And I imagine we're probably going to do a little bit deeper of a dive into some of the things like audio interfaces. That's why I didn't want to go too much in depth about it, because I feel like we'd end up covering everything in one stream, and mics are just enough to kind of talk about.
That, and I didn't do my homework on that one.
The audio interface, yeah. We got to, one of these times, I think it'd be kind of fun, maybe you and I just bust this open and see if we can maybe dust it off and see if we can get it to work again. It was working fine. It just had a lot of
Sounds like
static.
a video for me. Wouldn't it be funny if we bust it open, just take some compressed air to it, and all of a sudden it starts working great?
It was great. I really loved this Tascam US322 was the name of this.
Then I'm going to get salty because the fact that you sent the Rode mic to our uncle. Then I'll be like, oh. but that will encourage me maybe to upgrade to the Yeti XLR version.
Now, is the Yeti that you currently have, does it have the USB microphone? Does it detach, or is it automatically built in?
Okay, so here's the thing. If you buy the XLR version, I just have the USB version. If you buy the XLR version, check this out. Mm-hmm. You can go XLR or USB on it. They have both.
So you're very flexible then. Brung FTG just asked a great question. What's the best mic for a podcast? Hands down. I'm going to tell you this because I know many podcasters inside this business. If you're going to do podcasting, go all out. Shure SM7B. It is the gold standard. There's a good reason why you see that. That just depends on your discretionary expense, because remember, you have to think Shure SM7B is going to run you about $400. Then, and that's not taxes included. Then you got to get yourself at least an audio interface of some sort. Most audio interfaces. So, for instance, Walt, I paid about $170 for this one. And that was actually about 4 years ago, I think I got this. Maybe
4 or
5
longer. Years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while that I got this. It's no longer available, but the Zoom H6 that I have, if you were to buy that by itself, I believe you can get it for $280 to $300. I'm fudging the numbers because I don't remember off the top of my head, but you do need an audio interface to actually do this. I would recommend, if you have additional budget, get yourself a Cloudlifter CL1. The mic activator really makes a huge difference. It was funny, I was going to go without it, but I was talking to Dan Courier from Creator Fundamentals, and he's got a very big YouTube channel, and his microphone sounds like money. And I was like, dude, what are you doing with that? And he told me, I have the Shure SM7B plugged into a Cloudlifter. Now, I don't remember what his audio interface is off the top of my head. Either way, though, this works out beautifully. I really like this setup. But, I mean, you're looking, let's see here, $400 plus another I think it's about $350, the Zoom H6 that I ended up getting for that, plus another $150. So it's going to put you behind by a lot. If you want to do just basic podcasting, Brung, Honestly, what Walt has, pop yours up really quick. That Yeti mic really works just fine, and you can probably get that for, again, I think he said he got his for about $89. It was on sale.
$89.99, so $90.
If you find it, you can probably find a good deal for about $100 to $200. Again, look into some of Amazon Renewed stuff because they actually have some good products. They do come with a warranty. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with it per se. It just might have been a return of some sort, and they're just going to go ahead and sell it. They just clean it off and send it off to you. So,
especially if you're going XLR, because like I said earlier in the stream,
yeah,
you would be surprised how many moms and dads go out there to buy their kids a Yeti microphone, not realizing they need the audio interface because it is a phantom-powered mic or whatnot. And then it's like, Mom, you got me the wrong one. So then they have to go back and buy the one that I have, which is the USB version, so that they're going to have to return that XLR one, which is good for you because then the mic was most likely not used. It was just opened up, put back in the box. They're going to check it anyways, and they're going to sell it to you at a cheaper cost.
Yeah, I was just popping up the window here to see if I could see any Renewed products for the Yeti microphone, and I don't see anything right offhand, but you can always just type in Yeti microphone Renewed and find something. Yeah, it doesn't look like they have the blackout edition that you have here, but I think this is the USB version of it. Okay, not bad. Actually, right now you can get it from various sellers. That's about $186.35 is the cheapest option. And you're looking at, oh, excuse me, hang on. There's one for $99 if you don't mind.
There you go. $99. Yeah. That's a good price point.
Let me just go ahead and I'll switch it on over here really quick. I'm just going to cover up our faces here, folks. You can probably see here on the screen that this is actually the Blue Yeti Nano Premium USB mic for recording and streaming, Shadow Gray. You'd have to select this option and you can add it to cart. $100. Walt, would you say that's worth $100?
That's a different version there, Dale. But
okay.
Right now, dude, just because of supply and demand, and if you're just starting your podcast, and you're going to need obviously 2 microphones, unless you're doing like some sort of interview through Zoom or some other means.
Yep.
But if you're having somebody actually sit in the room, or you have like a hype guy or a hype girl, that's going to actually inject commentary with you, you're going to definitely want 2 microphones anyways. And if you're just starting out, then why not? Why not just go with the straight up USB and then use some sort of digital software within your laptop or your PC to balance those sounds out.
Here's a little bit of a tip I can also talk to you.
There you go. Virtual EQ is what it is.
So here's a tip I can shoot to you as well. And this can go to you, Walt, as well as Brung or anybody else. If you're doing a podcast of some sort, I would really highly recommend that you take advantage of the things that are in front of you. I try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So anytime that I'm recording my podcast, I go live over on Twitch. And I do it in front of an audience of roughly about 15 to 20 people, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. But it gets it to where I'm actually broadcasting that. Now, here's the cool thing is I'll run Audacity at the very same time, and I record directly to that. Now, there are some people that go, why don't you just record directly from OBS or Slobs? Because the thing is you put filters onto that, and it's going to make it that much more difficult to go through and edit and produce it and post-produce it. So to me, I'd rather have the raw footage going directly over to Audacity, and I can tweak it and do whatever I need to do without having that middleman in between. And also here's the nice thing is, let's say for instance Audacity goes poop. You forgot to save. You've got that broadcast you did to Twitch or YouTube. You can grab that audio file down. In worst case scenario, you'd have to go through the extra bit of doing post-production and doing the editing on it, but at least you have something in place. And on top of that, you're able to kind of get something unique. So when I'm doing my podcast, for instance, I will warm up. I will talk for about 15, 20 minutes, and then I'll record the content. And then when I'm done, I disconnect and I start to talk to people. And sometimes I've even edited the podcast live on air, and people hang out and they love that. So there's something different and unique about tuning in to see the actual recording. And the thing is I don't launch the podcast recording until the next week. So if people want to hear the content ahead of time, they've got to tune into Twitch. And something more recently that I did also was I was taking the Twitch broadcasts and I was exporting it over to another YouTube channel, and then I edited it down to just the podcast portion, and now that is taking up a space over on YouTube, which, by the way, hit 300 subscribers, dude.
And you know what, Dale? That sounded like a whole nother live stream.
Yeah.
That sounds like content for a whole nother live stream. I'm not trying to kill the live stream, but we are getting it pretty close here. So if there's any other questions or comments, hit us up here, or we're just going to bounce off. Definitely, if you're watching the replay, make sure you leave your comments. Maybe there's a microphone that you think is far superior to the ones that we're using. That's the thing. Our standards aren't gold. But just know that they are tried and tested. And trust me, I'm the type of person that tries to break something. Also, remember our affiliate links help support the channel. So by you clicking on them and purchasing anything, it doesn't increase the price at all, but it helps support us in keeping the train rolling and helps us buy new gear, so that way we can do reviews and let you know what's crap and what's not.
Yeah, for sure. So on that specific note, we just disconnected over on Amazon Live, and now we're going to go on over into our end screen, where we're going to go ahead and forward you on over to this very next video. What's that next video, Walt? What's
right down there? Let's see here. Best live streaming cameras.
Yeah, that was the one we just did last week. Best live streaming cameras. If you missed out on that, you can go take a look at it, the very next one. And we definitely appreciate each and every single one of you